Hi, I'm Jason Hill.
And I'm James Blackburn.
And this is No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
Now our goal is to teach you some simple and easy ways to get started with prepping and survival in case of a natural disaster or a crisis situation.
In this week's episode, we're going to briefly explain the 6 core areas of preparation, and then we're going to focus on the tools and techniques for starting a fire.
That's right. And but before we get kicked off with that, why don't we tell the folks a little bit about ourselves? Go ahead and start.
Well, Jason, as you're aware, but the audience is not, I have had a ton of experience working in the outdoors, as well as just enjoying the outdoors. Over the last couple decades that I've been around, I've traveled quite a bit around America and done a lot of mountaineering, a lot of mountain biking, rock climbing. I was going to say spelunking, but really technically it's caving, and I read somewhere that cavers actually rescue spelunkers, so we're going to say caving on this. Okay. And I've done, a lot of the techniques that we're going to show in the 13 episodes of the show will actually be things that I've done in the field over the last few years. And much like yourself too, I did have a little bit of experience with the Boy Scouts as a kid, and that was a great place to start, because they teach you so many different things that you can use, not just in the mountains, but in life.
That's right.
And I've enjoyed it. I've had a good time being out in the mountains. And, as you're aware, I moved here in 1998 to New Mexico, and we have mountains and desert out here, and we get lots of it, yeah.
A lot of different climates, too.
Yeah, we have 5 climatic zones in the state out of 7. So we get to practice these techniques all the time. Now, Jason, what about you? You have a variety of skills too, right?
I do. Hey, Danny.
Hey. How's it going?
We're doing introductions. Why don't you go ahead and jump in and tell the folks a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Danny Lenski, and I guess of the 3 of us, I'm kind of the newest to the group as far as survival, whatnot. I was always raised with the mentality of hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. My family used to move around a lot when I was little, so I was able to experience a few different terrains. My mother, sister, and I survived through a tornado, and I'm sure that's going to be a long story for another day, but I could be here a half hour.
We'll dedicate a whole episode to it.
Exactly. But
it's an awesome story.
But as far as the way I was raised, I love camping, I love fishing, I love hiking, I love caving. I heard something about spelunking, not really wanting to call it spelunking. And my dad was born and raised on a farm, and so I spent a lot of time around horses, most especially, but cows, a few chickens here and there, and a couple goats. One in particular, whenever I got 5 feet from him, always good to see you too, off you get. And my mother was my mother was raised on in a military family, and so we definitely got the discipline that way, and so I guess it was good to be well-rounded. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty for the sake of learning, so it's going to be us learning together with the 3 of us. But,
and that's good, because you have to do these things hands-on and get that experience. It's not just something you read about.
Exactly.
You need to have that actual practice.
You can take years reading it in a book, but then once you try and put it into practical use, you think, oh, wait. How did that go again? But anyway.
Now, speaking of practical use, you've had a lot of practical use out in the field with some of the techniques and tools of our show, right?
Yeah, I have. And
I hate to interrupt. I'm going to actually have to run so I can work on the beginner's box for later on. So
great.
I will be back, and I'm sorry.
Sounds good. How about a high five?
A little lower for the short one.
Like half your size, man.
Yeah. Hey, you didn't get a high five though, so yeah.
Well, I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid and got to do a lot of things out in the woods and do those hands-on making things, building shelters, going on hikes, and a lot of exploring. And as I got older, I went into the military and I served some time there. And then I also do search and rescue. And it all kind of tied in with my love for the outdoors and the passion that I have for it. And so I'm constantly out in the wilderness areas having to navigate, support myself, and use all these skills that I have. But we'll get into more of that later. Let's just tell the folks real quick the 6 core areas that we're going to be discussing in today's episode.
Well, the first 2 are water and food.
Then we're going to do shelter and security.
And then energy and sanitation.
So stick with us. When we come back, we're going to go into depth about all these topics and teach you some ways that you can get started.
All right, thanks a lot for watching, but tune back. Good stuff coming up.